I just feel as though it is my moral and ethical duty as an instructor of sociology who is teaching critical thinking, which is so essential for a class on race relations, to address the conflict that is very clear in the U.S. and in the world today, as is evidenced by what happened on Saturday in particular. And so I just feel it's my responsibility, and I want to steer into the curve a little bit on this election and talk about a few issues in ways that maybe you just haven't really thought about, that's from some different perspectives, so that we can move this thing forward in some interesting ways, okay? Is that cool? So I'm going to hit 5 different things. And the first, I want to address this issue of Trump being horribly sexist. And everything that is about. And people see this in very, very different ways. And yet, people don't see it in different ways. So, first, this is text of the transcript where Trump was caught on a hot camera talking about some woman, reporter. He says, so read that, okay? That's transcript. So somebody caught him on a hot mic. He didn't know he was being recorded. This was a number of years ago, but he hasn't changed at all. I mean, come on, this guy. He would have said that yesterday. That could be yesterday. Well, maybe not yesterday, but it could have been a few months ago or 6 or 10 years ago. So that's what he said about a woman who was a reporter. So they pulled up on a bus and they saw this woman, and this guy, some other reporter, was asking him about her. And that was his response. Now, some of you don't know about this, including, those of you who, many of you actually don't know about this. So this is a lot of Trump people, or anti-Trump people, especially women, people who have even a modicum of interest in women's issues, in empowering women, in sexism and so on. To them, this is just absolutely beyond reproach. I mean, you can't even imagine that anybody could support anybody who would say this, okay? Now, I'm going to help you with it I need a couple men just who can just work with me on this, okay? I need a couple volunteers, men, anybody. Now, someone who hasn't volunteered yet. Bro, you, and bro, you. Neither of you have volunteered, right? All right. All right, here we go. So now, imagine that this conversation is being recorded, and it's Sam Richards talking to 2 of his students, or 2 of his TAs, okay? Sam Richards, instructor of Social 119, teacher at Penn State, having a conversation with a couple of his TAs. Yeah, dude. Yeah, see her, man?
Yeah, bro, she's pretty hot.
Yeah, dude.
I'd definitely smash.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's at least a 9.
Dude. Yeah, man. I tried to fuck her. She was married. I moved on her like a bitch, man, but I couldn't get anywhere.
Damn, dude, don't let that stop you, you know? She's just...
Nah, she was married, dude. She was
Dude, I
married.
heard she gives mad head.
Yeah, dude. Listen, man. But, but the problem is, now, I don't know, I see her now, she's like a big phony. She's got like all of her phony tits and everything. It's like, oh, man. It's totally changed her look, I gotta say.
Even better.
Nah, but I just gotta use Tic Tacs. Just in case I start kissing her, you know what I mean? Gotta use Tic Tacs, gotta always have them. I'm automatically attracted to beautiful women. You can imagine that, right? Me? I'm attracted to beautiful women. I just start kissing them.
No, I feel you, man. That happens to me sometimes, too.
Dude, yeah, I'll bet, man. Yeah, no, it's like a magnet, man. You just kiss. You know what I mean, dude? You don't even wait, dude. You just kiss.
Yeah, why even ask him? I mean,
like
just
an
make the
instant
first
reaction.
move.
No,
I mean, you're a
dude, listen,
man,
but-
just show him.
But listen, when you're a star like me, seriously, they let you do it. Dude. When you're a star like me, you can do anything, man. You just grab them in the pussy, dude. They let you do anything. You just grab them in the pussy. Yeah. Okay? Got that? Okay, so now, here's what I want to know. That comes out, and it's an onward state. It's in the collegian. You're listening to me having a conversation with these two guys. What's your name, bro? Nav. Daniel and Nav. Having a conversation with Daniel and Nav. And you find out that I don't have a job tomorrow, because that came out tonight. Talking about a graduate student or another professor or some woman who works at Penn State. And that's the conversation. Yeah, I just grab them in the pussy. In other words, I just sexually assault them. I force myself on them. How many of you, when I get fired from Penn State for that revelation, how many of you are going to write a letter to Eric Barron on my behalf or my boss and say, oh man, no, Sam Richards, he's like a really good guy. You shouldn't fire him. Like, come on, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that conversation. So he sexually assaults, or so he does that. I don't know. You call it sexually assault. We call it, but it's Sam Richards, like he's cool. Like, how many of you are going to write a letter on my behalf? How many of you are going to stand up? How many of you are going to start a protest in front of Old Main saying, no, you shouldn't fire this guy? Right? So now, here's the deal. Nobody, not a single person, nobody, one guy, one person, two, maybe three, all men, right? Anybody else? So listen, 3 people, 4, a woman. All right, 4 people aren't going to get my job back. And so here's the question I have, or here's the issue. Can Trump supporters imagine, can you just for a moment imagine how people who support women's rights feel about that? About that conversation and about this guy who could do that and who could say those things? Just like how many people used to think that Sam Richards was a cool guy? I used to think he was a really cool guy. And then I heard that. I'd never take a class with him. I'd never even want to be in the same building with him. Never. I tell all my roommates, don't ever take a class with that guy, this guy, whatever. So can you imagine how just really outraged people would be? And that's me. And now it's this guy. And what's the difference? What's the difference? Right? So, thanks, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks, man. All right, so here's the thing. Now, Jiggy,
Yeah.
what do you think? What do you think about women who voted for Trump?
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Doesn't make any sense. What do you mean? Like, how so?
Me being me. Guys, like, side note, I'm trying to be like a self-awareness coach, so that's all about emotional intelligence, that's all about self-awareness, where you are present in your life. So when you tell me that there are women out there who accept this behavior, and not only accept it, but vote as like the leader of an entire nation, that's telling me that you're submitting your self-respect. I'm not allowed to curse in this class, so I'm not gonna say any words. But that's telling me that you're submitting your self-respect to jerks like him. So I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned about Trump. I'm concerned about the woman who's not even aware, who doesn't even have the self-respect to realize that this completely violates her rights, and it concerns me about her present relationships, whatever the one that she's in, whether she's married or not to a Republican who also voted for Trump. It's not my business, but I'm more so scared for the women who support Trump.
Okay, so let me help you with it. Let me help you to see how you could vote for Trump. It's not very difficult. Go to the next slide. First off, people voted along party lines. Republicans voted for a Republican, Trump. Democrats voted for a Democrat, Clinton. Didn't change very much. Look, 93% of Republicans voted for Romney. 89% of Republicans voted for Trump. People vote on party lines. So it didn't matter, because you're not thinking about the particulars, you're thinking about the party. And the person who represents the party doesn't much matter. It's the party. Here, look at this next one. Here. For whom did white voters cast their votes? 59% of white people in the U.S. voted for Romney versus Obama in the previous election. 58% of white people voted for Trump versus 37% who voted for Clinton in this election. In other words, voting on party lines doesn't matter. And you know what that is? It's just not seeing what you don't really want to see. Here's an example. Christians. How many of the Christians in here believe in Noah's Ark? How many of you believe in how many Christians in the United States believe in Noah's Ark? Noah's Ark, y'all, there's like, 20 to 30 million species in the world? Somebody built a boat large enough for all those species to mean it. Use basic common sense here. How big was the boat? As big as Rhode Island? So somehow back in time, the earth was flooded, and Noah built a boat, and he put all the species of life in that, one of each, male, female. So you got about 20 to 30 million. I don't know what it is. It's a lot. So you got to double that now. That's a big boat. But, we live in this place of denial. It's like, yeah, but I want to believe in the Christian story. So I hear that, and it's kind of weird, but I'll just turn my attention somewhere else. Or how many of you have siblings or parents who are, now I can swear, who are assholes? They really are assholes. They really are. You love them anyway. Yeah, my brother. God, he's such an asshole. God, he is such a jerk. He's like, you could do a long list of everything, but I love him anyway. And I would stand by him. Oh yeah, I would defend him. If someone else calls him an asshole, you'll defend him. But you're like, why? 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 Because he's your brother? Why would you do that? Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's one after another. There are all sorts of ways in which we take things that we don't want to see, and we just sort of put this black cloth over them, and then we move on with our lives and pretend that those things don't exist. And so you can do that with Trump. It's the same thing. It's like, he said that stuff, but lots of people say that stuff. How many white people in there have parents or grandparents who regularly dropped an N-bomb? Nah, but my grandfather. Yeah, but he's not racist. No, but he's cool. No, but he wouldn't discriminate. Really? Really? Okay, I get that. All right, whatever. What do you mean by discriminate? What do you mean by not racist? If you talk in a certain way, if you refer to people in a certain way, if you have certain attitudes toward people, like Muslims, let's say, then I'd say there are certain things I could say about you. But if you want to live in the blind spot, you take a step back and you say, oh yeah, but they're not really like that. But they really like it. But if they really treat everyone equally, and so on and so forth. You see what I mean? It's like we just turn our heads. So it's not difficult to imagine people turning their heads with Trump. If you can pretend that there was someone named Noah who actually really did build an ark, you certainly can pretend or have the idea that Trump really isn't a sexist pig. It's like, whatever, there are more important issues to deal with. There are really important issues to deal with. So he said those things about women. Whatever, I got these really important issues that are much more important than that, and that's where I think, that's why I voted for him, and that's where I'm going to put my attention. Anybody could say that. It's very simple. Just like you'd say, yeah, my father is a real jerk, but I love him anyway. Why? Do you go around loving jerks? Why do you love jerks? Why would you love jerks? Why would you love your asshole brother if he's an asshole? Oh yeah, I love assholes. I'm an asshole. I guess I'm an asshole. You know, I love assholes, so. You see how it is? Either is it or isn't. What is it? But we can do that. We can just sort of separate our lives in this way. So all of the people who don't like Trump, and you see that, and you think, oh, that's just so horrific. It's not really. We all do it. We all do it. Meaning that we all just choose to turn our attention away from the things that are contradictory and problematic and don't fit with our worldview. Is that cool? Jiggy, does that make sense?
Can I just say something?
Go ahead.
Twitter, if you want to turn to your local Twitters. There are women who voted for Trump saying stuff like, I'm a woman, I voted for Trump, that by no means allows one to say, I submitted my self-respect.
Yeah.
That's cool, good for you. But at the end of the day, you supported somebody who makes it okay.
Yeah, but we all do that, dude. No, but this is what
Doesn't
I'm
make it
saying. We
okay.
all do that. What about the self-respect of the people in this classroom who have parents who physically abuse either you or your siblings, or your grandparents who physically abused your parents? But you still see your grandfather or your grandmother, and you still like, okay, but I still got to say hi. And why? Where's your self-respect? Where's your self-respect? If I saw a parent or my uncle or somebody that physically abusing their child, I would just be like, hasta luego, forever in a day. I'm done. The relationship is over. Finito. So I don't see, we all do it. We all do it. It's just how we want to choose to think about self-respect. It's just where. So this is a place where you put your foot down, but I can put my foot down somewhere else. Yeah. It doesn't make sense still?
If my brother is terrible at driving, okay, and I asked him, somebody told me, would you let your brother drive? And you know that you will die if you let him drive.
Yeah.
Would you let him?
No, but how
He's
about if
a terrible driver. I love him. But would you let him drive?
Does he drive in State College? Let me know.
No, he's not here actually.
Oh,
but
okay,
I'm
good,
just
all
giving you an example.
All right, okay, good.
Well, that's
So I'm
me
safe.
actually. Like
Yeah.
my brother would say that about me.
Yeah, all right. Dude, don't drive around me. Yeah, no, it's lots of things. It's like, look, it's drinking. It would be drinking and drive. How many of you let your friends drink and drive? Like, how many of you drink it? I mean, I don't know. It's just on and on. The problem is, again, it's like this Gandhi thing. You know, Gandhi always said, I think he said it one time, I don't know, maybe it's an old myth, but you point one finger at other people, you have three fingers pointing back at you. And that's really important, you know, so we all do it. Yeah. Yeah, bro.
I mean, the point about Gandhi brings up an interesting point, because politicians and historical figures, artistic figures, they have all these different aspects, all these differences in their personality, the ways they express themselves in art or their political views.
Yeah.
And when you're listening to or watching an artist or you're voting for a politician, you take all those things into account. And some things might be deal breakers. So I perfectly understand people who are like, no, I will not vote for Trump no matter what because of those positions, even if they agreed with every single political position. Like, that's a hypothetical.
Yeah, right.
Whereas, and that happens all the time, like, it could be a political position of his that you're like, I like everything else, but that one breaks it for me.
Yeah, it could be.
Or they could all fit. But then, like Gandhi had sex with children, and John Lennon beat women, And Miles Davis nearly killed his wife multiple times. But Miles Davis, I still listen to Miles Davis because he still is the greatest jazz musician of all time.
The lore about Gandhi, by the way, is he didn't have sex with children. He slept.
Well, okay. He was also
test himself.
He also had, and
But there are all sorts of things.
Yeah,
Listen.
everyone, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X,
Yeah.
every president ever, they all have different personality quirks that,
Yeah.
knock them down a level. And you have,
Okay.
and it makes sense for people to, put a benchmark and be
Yeah.
like, that's my stopping point.
Yeah.
But I can see people who don't.
Yeah, listen, everyone, here's the issue, right? Everybody has different benchmarks, okay? And one person's benchmark, for one person, I know somebody, I have a colleague who's really smart, very thoughtful, really aware politically and socially and economically and so on. Her benchmark is abortion. She is just against abortion, period, under any circumstance whatsoever, and that's just her thing. I'm like, how do you get there? How did you get there? It's just her thing. I'm like, all right, whatever, I'm not going to argue with that. I could make an argument. I couldn't vote for, personally, a person who was captured on camera saying that. I just couldn't. But, whatever, that's me.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Because I'm confused because I don't think what I say was like portrayed correctly, and maybe that was my fault and like my mistake in the way that I delivered my message. But I'm not, just because you mentioned Gandhi and like one finger one way and three fingers the other way, just because you said that, I think I was misunderstood or I misportrayed myself in the way that I expressed my thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm not judging women who voted for Trump.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I didn't hear
I'm not
that.
pointing fingers and then getting three fingers. I'm just saying I'm concerned, and when I'm concerned for you, I'm not saying I'm judging you for your decisions and opinions. I'm just saying I'm concerned. And
Yeah.
if you're a woman who voted for Trump and you're saying that you have self-respect, dope, do it, go ahead. But like, when it comes to the president of America, and you have somebody like that as a leader who says stuff like that, and it's not even just about you anymore. It's like the entire nation, it's the entire world. It's not just you as a woman and how you're portrayed and how you're treated by other men. It's like women of every single country of the world, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm not judging Trump supporters, I'm just concerned.
It was a judgment, though, really.
Why?
Because essentially you said, I think, what is judgment? Judgment is attributing positive or a judgment is exclaiming the rationality, I think, behind someone's statements or thoughts or beliefs without really knowing what those are. I think that's a judgment. So it was a judgment in a way, but I hear where you're coming from. Yeah. I hear where you're coming from. I buy that. Okay, but anyway, are you confused? Are you at least confused? Are you more confused? Can you see it from different perspectives? Or can we, at the very least, what's most important in a race class, in this class, what's most important is to understand the ways in which all of the people we think are exhibiting bad behavior in some way, shape, or form, like are racist or sexist or homophobic or whatever it is, how all those people, we do very similar things. That's what's most important. Starting to understand race relations understanding race relations begins with ourselves, okay? It starts right there. So I can't really understand why other people think and do the things they do if I don't understand how I do it very similarly. In any case, that segment right there, that should give you something to play off of. Let's do another one. I need three more volunteers, and they all have to be black. African American, not like African, not Caribbean, ideally African American, bro. Hang on. Who did not vote for Obama and who did not who did not vote for Trump, who either A, voted for Clinton or support Clinton and or support Obama. Voted for Obama or definitely would have voted for Obama. 2, 3. Okay, so you're an Obama guy? It's Obama Nation right here. You're Obama?
I'm sorry.
You like Obama?
Oh, I love Obama.
You love, oh, seriously, for Obama? Barack or Michelle?
I wish Michelle.
Okay, what's your name?
My name's Genevieve Lochery.
Genevieve. Dude. Kel?
Keith.
What is it? Keith. Keith. Dude, just so y'all know, I have tinnitus really bad, and so from playing drums for too many years, and it's really hard for me to hear out. So Kel, Genevieve, and Keith. All right, y'all. So Obama people, loving Obama. All right. Let's go to the next slide. All right. So one of the things that people say a lot is that Obama, right now what I'm hearing a lot is Obama and Clinton, certainly as opposed to Trump, really supported people, in particular people of color, and in particular real people, like average Americans, like real people, not like just the rich. So I hear that a lot, right? Are you there? Would you basically say that?
Sure.
You would say that? You would say that? Well, of course you would say that. Would you say that?
I would say that they said that.
All right, okay. Got it. All right. But you would say it. So here's the deal. Next question. So between 1983 and today, but I only have data from 2000, the data I'm going to show you is from 2010, a lot of new wealth was created. A lot of new wealth, y'all. A lot of new wealth was created not only in the world, but also in the United States, but particularly in the United States. We're only going to look at the U.S. So new wealth. And so the question becomes, who got all that new wealth? Who got it? Right? So where'd it go? In whose hands did it go? So look at this next slide. So, this is from the IRS. So 74.2% of all of that new wealth that was created, hundreds of billions upon billions upon billions of dollars, probably trillions of dollars, 74.2% went to the top 5%, the richest 5% of people in the United States, okay? 16% went to the next, what do you say, the 1/5, okay? So that means 90% of the wealth that was created, all that wealth went into the pockets of the richest 10% of people in the United States. The bottom 60% actually lost money. I mean, they got less. They not only did they get none of the wealth, but they actually lost money. So their real income and wealth and so on went down. So that's who got it. Okay, but that doesn't really say Obama, because we don't know Obama. It's like, okay, this is really pre-Obama, but we're seeing a pattern here. So let's look at the next one. During the George Bush years, the wealthiest 1% of Americans received 65% of the income gains that occurred between the years 2000 and 2008. That was a lot of money in income gains, y'all, right? During the first 5 years of Barack Obama, 2009 and 2014, the wealthiest 1% received what percent of the income gains? So in the Bush years, we saw the previous slide, and then we see the Bush years. What would you say? What do you say, bro?
I would say C, 78.
You'd say C?
Yeah, 78.
What would you say, bro?
I would guess D, 95.
What would you say?
D.
You'd say D? What would you say, bro? C? What would you say? B? What would you say? What would you say, bro? Yeah? Bro, come on, man. This is your chance right now, dude. Come on, you got one last chance to redeem yourself. Go ahead, what would you say? B? B. Oh, my God, black man, you're making it hard for me, bro. You're making it hard for me. Listen, we'll come back, though. I'll give you another chance next class, all right? The answer is D. Okay? It's D. So, Barack Obama, your peeps.
Yo.
Yo, that's what I'm saying.
Yo.
Yo. So, whose side's Barack on?
I mean, Bull got in a sinking ship.
What's that?
He got in a sinking
Dude,
ship.
come on, man. He had 8 years. Come on, dude.
Yeah, 8 years. Look how many years it was. Look at
Yeah.
the data, and then
All
look at how
right.
many years he had.
So he got on a sinking ship, That continued, by the way, in the
Yeah, it
3
did.
years after that.
It did.
Oh, so you don't have to blame Obama for anything then.
I did not say that. You said
All
that.
right, okay, got it. He got on a sinking ship. What do you think, Keith?
Personally, I think that you can't blame Barack Obama for everything. He's the president, and what people don't
Okay.
understand, I feel like, is that the Senate and the Congress make a lot of laws other than Barack Obama. So
Well, let me help you with blaming him a little bit. You know who's in control of Wall Street under Barack Obama? The same people that ran the big banks under the previous administrations. You know who Donald Trump put in control of the Federal Reserve and all of his economic policy advisors? Who's running the show? All the Citibank people. You know who they are? They're the same people that ran it under Barack Obama. What's the difference between Barack Obama and Donald Trump? What do you think we're going to see anything different here? No, we're not going to see anything different. It's the same thing. We can criticize Donald Trump for being a president of the rich, only supporting the rich. Donald Trump, he's all about helping those people and billionaires and so on. I don't know. I'm like, go back one slide. First off, there's a lot of years right there. That hasn't changed. It's not a sinking ship. That is called like moving people forward.
So you wouldn't say the economy was a sinking ship. You said he got in the driver's seat and
I don't
everything
think
was,
it's a
everything
sinking-
was cool. He just was like, all right, let's
Dude.
let the rich get richer.
Here's everything sound. If I'm the rich, if I'm in control of this thing, if I'm the rich from where were we at 1980 up until 2010, it's not a sinking ship, man. It's a very deliberate, calculated transformation of the economy in a shift of new wealth and new income into the hands of the very people who are calling all the decisions. Democrats and Republicans, they all were employing the same people. They're on the same team. Barack Obama's on the same team as Donald Trump. Donald Trump is on the same team as Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. Go ahead.
Sorry. I think that Barack Obama's intention was to solidify the middle class, whether that's lower or upper middle class.
So it's Donald Trump's, by the way, also. That's what he said.
Right,
But go
right.
ahead.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
He hasn't really been given the time to prove any of those
Yeah, okay.
intentions. But I think that that Obama gave the middle class kind of the ambition that they needed to hold steady the wealth that they held in the middle, because the middle is what keeps America sturdy and important, if you ask me. But I think that the lower class was ignored, and the upper class was promised something that they didn't need to be given. And I think it was reinforced by Donald Trump's administration and his platforms, and that's why they voted for him.
Okay.
So-
So here, let me. Do you have something, bro?
Well, me personally, I come I come from a democratic, I guess, background, as you can, I guess. But at the same time, I don't. You say, oh, you're Obama guy. Like, I wasn't able to vote in that election, but me personally, I don't look at Obama. People might judge me for that. I'm like, oh, people say he's the best president ever. I never say this. If I could vote then, I would have voted for him. Why? Because he's black. I'm black. He black. I'm voting for the black guy.
Dude, hang on. He's half black.
That's what it is.
fully
That's
black,
what it-
black is black.
But
It only takes one drop.
but me personally, I don't never look at the presidents like, oh, he was the best president. Me personally, I'm not educated enough. I don't follow politics enough.
All right.
I don't know the facts enough to look and see the stats. Who's
Okay.
the better president?
Well, I'm going to help you. Let's keep going.
but
One
where's
more.
this data coming from?
So let me help you with another one. Next one. So here's wealth accumulation and the racial wealth gap in the United States. I didn't bring Asians in. Later we'll talk about Asians. Here's wealth, right? Median wealth, okay? White families versus black families, Latino families. So white families, it's a little over $110,000 is the median wealth for the white families. Okay? Each white family has about that much wealth. So if you take all your debt and you subtract all your wealth, all the money you have and the resources you have, and subtract all the debt, including money you own in your house and so on and so forth, that's median wealth. Look at black families. Black families would need $104,000, each black family, to get up to where white people are. And Latinos would need $102,000 to get up to where white people are. In other words, the wealth is already in the hands of white people, and it's staying in the hands of white people, and it doesn't seem like Barack Obama did much to change that. But let me help. Maybe he did with income. Next one. Here's income. 2009, For median income for blacks, 2009, and here it is in 2014. So granted, he didn't have very much time, but how much more time are we going to give him? You know what I mean?
How long
Didn't do
have?
much there?
I'm so sorry. Just because I've been here for a very long time, I'm taking quite a few statistics. May you go back to your last slide?
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
right.
Uh-oh. Got him. Got him. Got him.
Because by assumption
Yeah?
that you told us this is the accumulation of wealth, right?
Yeah. This is
Without
the
the
wealth gap.
representation.
The average white family, so hang
Right.
on, let's be clear. This
Upon-
is median wealth
Great.
for the average white family.
So that
Each
is
family
showing
has
us
that much.
this graph without the actual representation of debt, right? So by proportion, it's not represented. And it would be very importantly represented based on the
Be careful.
percentages of interest and all other types of blackmail that blacks and Latino families are subjected to, right? So my family, who came straight from Haiti, you could have said that they swam here, has a wealth, right? I live in Montclair, New Jersey, upper middle class
Yeah.
suburb, right? My parents are swimming in their debt.
That's
but
not
their,
wealth, then.
But,
No,
but their
that's not
wealth,
wealth.
it doesn't matter because their wealth still surpasses it. And
No,
that's
it's not.
represented.
No. Listen, wealth is everything.
Right, but according to statistics, a proper graph would show
No, it won't.
where we started, right? It would show the wealth gap, and it would also show the median in which
No, it won't.
we
Hey,
are
Sam, that's a
judged,
black woman,
No.
bro.
right?
Chill.
It
No.
should, but
You
a
ain't winning
proper
that one.
statistic should.
Let me explain. Let me explain. How much is your family's house worth? About?
After renovations,
Yeah, go ahead. How much do you think you could sell it for right now?
do I get to give location? Because
No,
it
no,
matters.
just how much do you think it? Yeah.
Right now, well, given outside, it's a suburb outside of Manhattan. It's worth about $550.
$550.
Right.
How much do they owe on it?
Maybe 300,000.
Okay, so then that means they have 250,000 in wealth in that house.
Right.
That goes into their wealth.
Right.
They own any cars?
No, I live
Okay.
in a very modest family.
Okay, so you don't own any
Because
cars.
we're Haitian.
All right, got it. So you don't own any cars. And then all the money in the bank, all the money that
We
your
have the
stocks
house,
are worth.
and then we have me in college, and that's all you
Okay.
can just about afford.
Okay, got it. And
Right.
there must be bank accounts. You had the bank accounts in. You subtract any debt. After all that is the wealth. It doesn't matter what the debt is. It's irrelevant. Wealth, no. It shouldn't be shown. It doesn't matter because this is taking all of the goods that you can quantify in some ways and put a price to it and subtract your debt from those things, everything that you owe somebody else, and that's your wealth. And for white people, on average, the average white family, including the billionaires and the poor people living outside of State College in trailers, for example, the median right there is about $110,000. And compare that to all these families, that means that white people, y'all, got a lot of money compared to black people and Hispanic people in the United States. It's a lot of money. It was a huge difference. And what we're seeing is not much happened in the Obama administration to change that. And so not much is going to happen in the Trump administration to change that. But the idea is that lots of Obama people have this idea that, hang on, Obama did so many good things for the United States, and Trump is now going to lead us into this really terrible place. It's like, no. Hang on, y'all. No. So nothing changed, and nothing will change. It's going to continue in the same way.
I don't think that, cause even on Twitter, when Trump won, one of my friends was so dramatic to cry about the situation. I'm like, yo, you still gonna make money and you still gonna lose money. It's been a system, has been for years and years to come. So people scared about this whole Trump administration. I'm just like,
dude, my only job is to confuse people, and at the very least, the Obama people who have this idea that somehow it was great or it would have been great if Hillary Clinton got elected. It's like we have to think critically and carefully about what the issues are. That's my job. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm not saying that Obama was a perfect president by any means, and of course, the economy, yeah, hey, what's up? I'm not saying that the economy between Barack Obama and Trump are really like gonna be that big of a change, but it's more the social aspects, I think, that have people riled up than the economy. Like, it's hard when you see graphs like this because you think like, well, of course, like, white families are gonna be the majority, like, earners because they have a history of being the majority. Like, a lot of white people are already like in powerful positions, like CEOs and stuff like that. So of course, like, they're not going to lose their job in 8 years, and they're not going to lose their job in the next 4 years. So the graphs are probably going to remain the same. And of course, a president wants whoever's in charge for the economy to keep going. So like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's why the same people have been in charge. But it's the social issues that are the problem. Like, you can't have a president, like, Barack Obama is completely different than Trump, and you can't say that they're the same because
Yes, thank you.
he said, grab him by the pussy. Like, you think Obama would have said that? Like,
He would have not been in office if he would have said that.
I'm sorry, I really respect this lesson, and I totally understand what you're saying, that we're not that different, but it's really hard as a woman, and I know I don't have it the worst in this country at all, but already papers are being signed for, like, anti-abortion, and I know that's a religion issue for a lot of people, or maybe they're just against it, but like, he literally said that environmental issues like aren't real already. Like, you think Obama would have said that? Like,
Listen.
dude, come on. Like, but I want to say, like, I don't think that the women who voted for Trump are, like, I saw on Twitter that someone was like, you think that, like, my mom is, someone said, like, tweeted, like, you think my mom wants to be assaulted or something like that? It's like, no, dude, no one wants any women to be assaulted, but you can't have Republican or Democrat or liberal or socialist or communist or whatever. Like, no one wants a woman to be assaulted, but we can't have a man in power saying that a woman can be assaulted and has probably assaulted women in the past.
So why not? We do.
Why?
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Why do you choose that issue? Why is it that issue and it's not another issue? This is what I'm asking.
For me personally?
Yeah, 'cause
I mean, again, it's what you said before, like, people have lines, like, people draw their own lines, and that's,
So you draw yours there.
I mean,
I feel personally no one should be disrespected at all. Like, if he came up black people, Latinos, everything, I feel like if you cross a line and you're supposed to be the president of the United States, you're supposed to be inclusive of everybody. Crossing any line, you're done for me. You're done.
Okay, so listen though, but here's my job. You ready?
Yep.
My job is to now hold you against the wall, like I've held other
That's
people.
totally
You ready?
fine. Yeah.
So the environment is important for you,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what Hillary Clinton said about fracking and about environmentalists?
I'm sure she said, yeah, go for it because it's a business and
You know
that
what
they're.
she said? She said environmentalists and anti-frackers need to get a life because I'm supporting fracking. And you know what she said to the public? It's like, no, we have to support the environment. You know what Hillary Clinton would have done for climate change? What do you think she would have done to slow down climate change? What do you think she would have done? Excuse me. No, hang on. What do you think she would have done?
Honestly, I mean, it's really like, what do I think she would have done? I don't think she would have blatantly said that, like, the climate change doesn't exist, but
So what does it matter? If I say,
dude, it matters because he's saying grab him by the pussy. Like, that's my issue. Like, that's all I'm saying.
Hang on. No, that's good. Stay with that's your issue.
Okay, yes,
That's
I
fine.
totally understand, and I'm not saying, but that's another thing. It's like, yeah, right. Clinton would not have been the perfect president either. She would have not been a perfect president
that's
either.
That's fine. Listen,
And
so follow me.
I know, I'm totally
That's my
on your
issue.
page.
That's your issue.
Right.
So that's it. So stay there, right? But you didn't. You went off and started talking about other things like the economy, and I'm like, no. If you want to talk about the economy, then we're going to talk about the economy. You want to talk about the environment, we're going to talk about the environment. You can talk about women's issues and stay right there.
Yes.
And I want you to stay there.
Okay.
Right? And it's great. Don't vote for Trump. Why would you vote for
But
Trump?
no,
Who said
but I'm
that?
saying that, what I'm saying is that you're trying to say that and the point, if I'm understanding this correctly, of this lesson is that Democrats and Republicans, there's going to be equal ground amongst everyone, and the differences that we see are differences that we choose.
No, I'm sorry, if I may, I'm sorry.
No, please.
It's not
Let
your
her just-
job to draw a conclusion or a similarity between this young lady and Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton has gone through some things that if I could name any women in this room, would have dealt with it far differently.
All right, okay, then let me stick with Barack Obama.
She's also been subjected to a crazy amount of psychological damage on a public platform that might subject her to
Okay, you ready?
reacting to it
Okay,
on a
you
different
ready?
level. But that one young woman has a regular path through academia,
Okay, you
and
ready?
so she would react like anyone else in
That's
this
just
room
fine. No,
might.
you're reacting like I can
But
imagine
you're holding
anyone.
her to the same subjective. Seriously?
No, I'm not. I'm holding. Listen, you ready? Watch. You ready? I'm going to go back to Barack Obama. Okay, you ready? Go to this next one.
Just everybody have patience. We're talking about economics today. Another day we're going to talk about another issue. We're going to talk about
dude,
another
by the
issue.
way.
We're not just saying that they're exactly the same people, because obviously that's insane. We're saying with this exact example, there are similarities between the two of them, and we have to look at that in order for us to get through everything else that's the difference between the other two candidates.
Okay, next one. You ready? Okay, so here we go. It's one team. You ready? It's one team. Got it? So it doesn't matter. It's one team, but that's fine because it's not just one team. Because two men on there have proven themselves to be not worthy of much respect. Got it? Okay, but let's go to the next one. You ready? You know what this is? Let me talk about one team, y'all. Let's talk about Barack Obama then. In 2006, local police agencies were given $30 billion in military-grade weaponry. Machine guns, tanks, mortars, body armor, cannons, you name it, they got it, okay? 2015, $460 billion, directly pushed forward by Barack Obama, okay? Now, here's the deal. It's one team, y'all. You want to go, for example, now I'm just complexifying it. Y'all, let's say you want to go, or I want to go protest against Trump or Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton or anybody. Local police forces are going to show up looking like that. And Obama pushed forward $460 billion worth of military-grade weapons. You know why? You know why? You know why? Because here's why. Go back. Go back, 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 right there. When you start doing that, and all that money's going into the top elite, it can only go so far before the people down here are going to start saying, hold on a second. Last Saturday, you had women protesting in D.C. and in countries all over the United States, and many men. But what happens when these people start protesting? Because this just gets too far, gets out of hand. Maybe they don't. What happens when they do? Go forward? That's what happens right there. It's one team.
Okay, so can I just talk about the first thing? Like, talk about the whole entire money distribution, stuff like that. So, for the whole entire black people not getting, the distribution of money and stuff like that, personally, people have the stigma that the presidential election is going to affect everything and everyone, which it's not going to. So, in order for anything to change personally in, like, Penn Hills, I'm from Penn Hills, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So for anything to change back then, we have to elect. Personally, when I look at it, all our officials and stuff like that, they're all corrupt. But people don't go to those.
Hang on. They're not all corrupt, okay?
Yes. Do you understand what happened in Penn Hills?
No, I got you. But they're not all corrupt. Like, there's a system in place that mostly ensures that a certain group of people maintain the power structure.
White people.
Which is the wealthy group, which mostly, the same one in Haiti. The same one in Haiti.
Okay, the 1% is about
So it's the same thing. So I hear what you're saying.
Because there's 3 of us.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when we are looking at the redistribution of wealth,
Yep.
that is a trend that has happened all over the world because of globalization. And I have a lot of facts here. So if you look at the elephant graph, which puts the percentile of global income distribution and the real increase in income of all of the countries in the world,
Yep.
every single country that is considered developing
Yeah.
grew by tons and tons. The only groups that were
growing slowly.
affected by globalization negatively were the low and middle income families in rich countries. But this happened globally. This did not happen just in the United States, not just
Here,
in England, not
can
just
I-
in France.
Listen. Yeah.
I have more to say.
Okay.
So, when you pick a president, the government can only do so much to redistribute wealth. One of those things are taxes, which Republicans are adamantly against raising because of they don't want anyone to take their money. And in order to make change, you have different ways of doing it, right? So you can either invest or lower taxes so that companies will magically make more jobs, which is what Republicans think. Or you can do a more democratic way, which is increasing support to different social programs that will help people that are struggling so that they can go ahead and get jobs.
Is that really the Democratic way?
There's more ways than that, right?
Yeah,
so
no, but is that
if
that's
you
what
look
the
at
Democrats-
SNAP,
Go ahead.
the amount of food stamps that were given to people in Obama's presidency nearly doubled in his time there. So more people were fed.
Yeah.
If you look at
Hang on. Here's what you're doing, right? You're picking and choosing certain things, right, to make this point, and I'm picking and choosing other things to make a larger point. So we can pick certain things. Here's the difference, right? Did you vote for Clinton?
Yes, I did.
And what's the reasoning for you voting for Clinton?
That she will continue to support social programs, that she will try to raise the minimum wage, that she will.
You mean like Barack Obama did? The same program? Like, you know what I mean? Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. My job is not right now. My job isn't, I could, you know where I could go? First off, I do this for a living, right? So everything you said, I could just go at from so many angles. Like I can't even, my head is swimming. And I'm not going to do that because I love how you pulled data out and you're picking some really cool things. And you like made a very cool analysis in a very short period of time. So I dig that. That's what I want. That's what I'm hoping everybody in this class will do. Get your phones out, start looking at stuff and go at it. And I could just go at it and dismantle it if I wanted to, as you could, if you had enough time, take this video, part of what I'm saying, and dismantle it in different ways. That's great. I want you to do that. Here's the thing. All I'm doing right now is picking out the things that I hear all the time about certain candidates, and certainly about Trump and Clinton and Obama, and I'm picking out the things that I hear most often that I can show you very different perspectives and say, why would you grab onto that? Yours, I can see grabbing on 100%. But the economy? Like the what? Like what? Like Obama support this? Please state? Really? Please state? Like what if I'm supporting, so here's my question for you. So I'm supporting more food stamps to poor people through SNAP or whatever policies, but over here, you ready? But out here, what I'm doing is, I'm giving $460 billion of military-grade weaponry to local police forces that is primarily going to be used to assure that people on the bottom don't rise up, don't get out of hand. I'll give you the SNAP, I'll give you those little increases, but the moment you start asking for more, I got people out here that are going to take care of that. So my question to you is, why is SNAP more important than that? This is right here, this is 1984. This is coming at us, y'all, right? This is 1984. Remember the police state. So in this police state, maybe it's illegal, for example, to say we're never going to have a president that says grab him by the pussy, but we're going to have, those are the police. So y'all want to go like out and protest because Penn State wins a basketball game or
That's
yeah,
not
they win a
protesting, I'm
basketball
sorry.
game. So you got it. So this is what's coming at us. So my question to you is this, right? And I so love what you're saying. What's your name, by the way?
Juliana.
What is it?
Juliana.
Rihanna?
Juliana.
Juliana. All right. Dude, remember, I have tinnitus. My question to you is, why is SNAP more important than that? Because I would think you as a brown woman, that right there, there are lots of reasons that I could think like, oh man, I got a problem. But I think that one, I'd be like, that's scary. That's scary. And what about in the last year, the 26,000 bombs that the Obama administration dropped on people in other countries that could increase the SNAP budget by, who knows, 100, 200, 500 fold, right? Increase? What about that? What about that? So that's just what that, so you know what I mean? That's what this is right now. So that's my question. I don't know. You don't have to answer, don't answer it, right? But that's just where I want you. And everyone in class, like that's where I want you. I want to ask that question that you can't answer. And if you try to answer it, I'm going to ask it in a different way so you can't answer. Not because I want to be smarter or whatever, because I don't want that. I just want you to have to answer questions that you can't answer. Because if I can get you to do that in here, I can get you to do that out there. I got an answer for this. I'll tell you why this isn't a problem. So it's like, okay, well, it's the police budget, military-grade weapon. I can tell you why it's not a problem. I'm not going to tell you, but I have an answer. I can tell you why. But I want you to come up with that. Why isn't that a problem, man? Dudes, here's the deal. I have to do another. If I don't do another segment here, I got to do another segment because if I don't, y'all, you need to have something for the video assignment. Okay? So we cool, dude? So you guys are done. Thanks, dog. Thanks, dog. Thanks, dog. Go ahead. All right, here. Let's do this one, Mom. Let's, what's that? How do you fix what? That? Dude, you go out and protest, but do it really fast before they give another $460 billion, right? No, seriously, I am. Yeah, listen, man. How do you fix it? Dudes, dude, first off, ready? You're asking how you fix it, right? Let me just say this. I don't get paid enough to provide answers, right? All I do is get paid enough to challenge, to ask questions and to challenge, like with you. And you challenged me and I challenge you back. That's what I want. That's what I get paid for, y'all, right? That's it. So I don't have the answers. Can't give you answers. If I give you answers, then you got to stop thinking you wrongly believe me, maybe. I hope you don't believe hardly anything I say. Listen, I got this thing I'm going to do. It's, Doug, we're going to have to go back to we're going to do the gender one, yeah. We're going to have to do that. What's up? All right, you ready? Okay, here. So here's one. This one goes out to the Trump people, I want to say real fast. All right, so here. So there seem to be double standards in place. This is a really short, I'm going to do a short segment so you all can use this. There seem to be double standards in place. And Trump people, there really do seem to be double standards in place here. So go to the next slide. So here's a photo of Michelle Obama back in the... Come on. Listen, man. Back in the arms, though, dog. So back in the day, quite a number of years ago, she wore this dress, and she was highly criticized, very heavily criticized by, in particular, Fox News and those kinds of people because it was too risque. All right? So, it was a really big deal. They said it was inappropriate for where she was wearing it and so on and so forth, right? Okay, next slide. So, this is our current First Lady, right, of the United States. Wait, am I allowed? It's our first lady. I can show that, right? So here, this is pornography. This is the closest thing to pornography you will see in this class. And so people say, go back one. Well, okay, it's not pornography. It's not. I pulled it right off Google Images. All right. Dude, first off, it's troubling. It's deeply troubling because for me to see women portrayed like that is absolutely, for me, it is really pretty deeply troubling because I just find it, why would you portray women in that way? I mean, it's silly. It's absurd. Why would you portray anybody like that? As though we're just bodies. You know what I mean? Like you were saying on the first day. So in any case, so here's Michelle, heavily criticized for being too revealing. Here's the next one. I would think that, and this goes out to the Trump people who are also Christians, I think about how would that in any way, forget about even what Trump said about women, how is that possible for Christians in particular? I think of like the moral and ethical codes of Christianity and the things that family values perspective and all the family values people that voted for this guy. Forget about grabbing by the pussy stuff, but how is that family values? You know what I mean? Like how do you see that? Like where is that? And next slide. So here's another one, right? Here's Melania. And one of the things that's really important here, however, and now I'm going to take the other side on this, is like, well, in truth, this is art. It really, in a way, is art. And so she's a model, and it's an artistic expression of a body, and it's not an artistic expression that I would support and that I would want to look at and that I do look at because I don't live in that world as a man. I don't live in the world where I find looking at bodies in that way, and certainly particular kinds of bodies. It is just not in my being to look at her and say, wow, she's really pretty. It's just not that. I don't live in that space. But it is an artistic expression at some level. And so here's another one. So here's Rihanna. So imagine that Rihanna, and so you see that, by the way, that's a shadow there. That's not a nipple. I'm not showing a nipple. So here's Rihanna from Esquire magazine. So imagine, and this goes out to all of the feminist anti-Trump people out here for a second. So imagine that Rihanna marries, I don't know, who's the guy from Paul Ryan from Wisconsin? Is he married? Let's say he leaves his wife and he marries Rihanna, right? And like, okay, really good. And he gets voted, he's president of the United States in 12 years. And this image shows up, just like this image shows up. And how many people who find this to be really problematic and troubling and repulsive would, nonetheless, in 12 years say like, oh, but that's okay, because that's just Rihanna being Rihanna. That's an artistic expression. That's just her. It's a magazine cover. It's her. So what I'm raising here is, what about the double standards? If you can critique this, go back. If you want to critique this, which is not easy, it's not difficult at all to critique that and say like, what is this world that we're living in that this becomes just this space? Whereas, go backwards to a couple, whereas Michelle Obama, who by any standards, if you imagine, go forward one, imagine Michelle Obama in that photo. Imagine Michelle Obama in that photo. Imagine how Barack Obama in a million years would never have been elected president of the United States if that photo of Michelle Obama had come up at all. Never, ever, ever would have come up. Michelle, if that is too revealing, if that's too revealing for a black woman, who's a high-powered, smart lawyer, if that's too revealing, go forward. That certainly would be too revealing. And the hypocrisy is just beyond reproach in a certain sense. It's unbelievable. And yet, at the same time, there is a way in which, in truth, it's artistic expression, just like this. Okay, we have a guest who's got a quick announcement to make.
Oh,
Yo, hang on. Listen, this is especially going out to men and men and women of color. This is Ellen. Yo, can you not put your stuff away? We still have 2 minutes. This is Ellen. Go ahead. Do your
It's
thing.
very hard to follow that.
Well, yeah.
I believe that the way we walk in the world tells the story of who we are. And I think a lot of what you are going to experience in this class is going to help you decide what that story is. But I also have an opportunity for you to be outside the classroom walls and explore what your story is. And that place is called Outdoor School, and it's an opportunity for you to come and live at a